Hey everyone, I'm Lauren from TasteBetterFromScratch.com, and today we are making a favorite all-American dessert. We're making apple crisp. We've got thinly sliced apples in a creamy cinnamon sugar sauce topped with a crumble oat topping. It is so good. I love apple crisp because it has the same elegant fall comfort food appeal as apple pie, but it's much easier to make. You may already have an apple crisp recipe in your stash, but I'm here to convince you to try this one because it is delicious. We're going to start with the end in mind by first making the crumble topping that we will sprinkle on the dish right before baking. So what you're going to need is 2/3 cup of oats, 1/2 cup of flour, 1/2 cup of brown sugar, 1/2 cup of cold chopped butter, and a 1/2 teaspoon each of ground cinnamon and baking powder. I love to add baking powder to my crumble oat topping because it just gives a little puff when it bakes and a really nice texture. So grab a fork, a pastry blender, you could even use clean hands if you want, and we're going to mix this all together. I use a pastry blender because it's just easier to cut the butter into this flour sugar mixture. You know you've done a good job when it looks just nice and crumbly at the end. There's no big pieces of butter in here. You can just crumble it with your hands right on top of the apple crisp. All right, let's talk about the apples. You're gonna need 3 or 4 large apples for this recipe, and we're definitely going to peel them to remove the skin. If you don't peel them, the skin doesn't cook down very well, so you'll be left with pieces of apple skin throughout the dish, which I don't think is very appealing. So I like to use this nifty little tool here. I think it's called a Johnny Apple peeler, and I'll link to it in the video description. But the cool thing about this is it peels, slices, and cores the apple all at the same time. So it peeled the apple, sliced it into perfectly thin slices for our apple crisp. I cut the apples into thirds. You just want decent sized pieces, not too long, not too little. If you don't have one of these, you can peel the apples by hand and you can chop them into bigger chunks, whatever your family likes. Just try to make sure that they're all uniform so they all cook evenly. I'm using tart green Granny Smith apples. Tart apples are the best type of apples for baking, but really you can use any apples that you have at home. This is especially great if you go apple picking at an orchard. Use kind of the bruised leftover apples. This is great to use really any apples with. We've peeled all the apples. Now we're going to move on and make the sauce to get these apples coated before they start to brown. For the simple apple sauce, we just need a few simple ingredients. We've got 3 tablespoons of butter, 3 tablespoons of milk, any type of milk, dairy-free milk, any type is fine. 2 tablespoons of flour. This will be our thickener to help the sauce thicken as it bakes. We've got 1/4 cup of light brown sugar, 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract, about 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. I'm just gonna squeeze 1/2 of a fresh lemon in here. This will help keep the apples from browning. 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon and a little pinch of nutmeg, about 1/4 teaspoon. So we're gonna stir this together. This sauce is what really sets this recipe apart from any other apple crisp. Most apple crisp recipes have you toss the apples in a cinnamon and sugar mixture and that's it. You put them in the baking pan. The flour helps to thicken the sauce, so when you spoon it, you've got this like nice cinnamon gravy type of sauce with the apples. It's delicious. Just stir everything together. You can use a whisk or a spoon. And now we're ready to pour this over our sliced apples and toss everything together to get ready to put it in the oven. This is already smelling so good. Just give it a quick toss with a spoon. Try and get the apples all coated in the sauce. And now we are ready to put this in an 8-inch or similar size baking dish. I've got a lightly greased baking dish here. It doesn't have to be an 8-inch pan. Any similar size casserole dish or baking pan will work for this. I'm gonna pour these apples and sauce right in this pan. Now that we've added everything to our baking dish, we're ready to add our crumble topping. Just go ahead and sprinkle this generously over the top of this mixture. You can use your fork or your spoon to spoon the mixture on top and kind of press it in to settle into all the space between each of the apple slices. This is where all of the yummy, crunchy flavor comes in that makes this dish so good. I like to wipe around the edges of the pan just to make sure that nothing bakes onto my dish. It makes the dish look a little nicer and it's a lot easier to clean afterwards. All right, we are ready to stick this in our oven at 375 degrees for around 30 to 35 minutes until the apples are tender and the topping will get nicely golden brown. I can tell it's ready, it's been bubbling, the topping is nice and golden brown, it looks perfect. We're gonna let it sit and rest for at least 15 minutes or so to allow the sauce to thicken up into kind of a nice thick gravy when we serve it. It's so good, let's give it a try. It looks delicious. This is such a great dessert to just make on a casual weeknight with your family, or serve it with a big scoop of vanilla ice cream and a drizzle of caramel sauce to really elevate it. If you're having company over, it's the perfect fall dessert. Oh, I love the oat topping, the creamy sauce, the tender apples. So good. This is just the epitome of what a fall dessert should be. The cinnamon flavor, the apples, it's so delicious. Thanks for watching, you guys. I will leave the full recipe in the video description. I hope you'll like and subscribe so you don't miss any new recipes that taste better from scratch. We'll see you next time.